I'm standing in a bathtub full of ice water, and my mother is holding a phone, asking me to hold my breath for just a little longer. The camera needs to see you're not breathing, Maya, she says, her voice sharp with impatience. Stop being dramatic. We've been over this. My lips are blue. I've been in here for 7 minutes. My sister Lily stands in the doorway, scrolling through her phone, occasionally glancing up to make sure I'm suffering enough for her entertainment. Mom, she looks dead enough, Lily says, bored. Can we move on? Richard and I have dinner reservations. I should tell them no. I should climb out of this tub, pack my things, and disappear from their lives forever. But I've spent 6 years being told I owe them everything. For raising me, for not abandoning me like my real parents did, for giving me a home when no one else wanted me. The adoption papers I found last year proved that was a lie too. My grandmother, my father's mother, paid them $250,000 to take me in after my parents died. They never wanted me. They wanted the money. And now they want more. Just 30 seconds more, my mother says, zooming in with her phone camera. Make it look real, Maya. You're doing this for the family. For the family. Everything has always been for the family. The plan is simple. I fake my death, they collect the $2 million life insurance policy my mother secretly took out on me 3 years ago, and I get $20,000 to disappear and start over. A new identity, a new life, far away from them. $20,000, 1%. I should have known they'd never let me keep even that. The ice water is making my thoughts slow and heavy. My chest is burning. My mother is still filming. And somewhere in my dimming consciousness, I realize that this position, head tilted back, eyes closed, completely submerged except for my face, looks less like someone holding their breath and more like someone who's already drowned. Mom, Lily says, and there's something different in her voice now. Mom, I think she actually... The bathroom light is flickering, or maybe that's just my vision. I try to lift my hand, but my muscles won't respond. The cold has seeped into my bones, into my brain. I'm dying. They were always going to kill me. The $20,000 was never real. The new identity was never real. They needed footage of my death for the insurance claim, and they decided to make it convenient. I hear my mother's voice from very far away. Oh, for God's sake, don't panic. She's just being dramatic again. Then everything goes black. I wake up to my phone alarm blaring Dancing Queen by ABBA. I lurch upright, gasping, my hands flying to my throat. I'm breathing. I'm warm. I'm in my bed, in my tiny apartment, wearing the faded NYU t-shirt I use as pajamas. The date on my phone says March 15th. 3 months ago, I died on June 23rd. I know because that was the last thing I saw, the date on my mother's phone as she filmed me drowning in her bathtub. I died 3 months from now, and somehow I'm back. My hands are shaking as I sit there, trying to make sense of it. Time travel isn't real. Rebirth isn't real. But I can remember everything, every moment of the next 3 months with perfect clarity. The conversations that haven't happened yet, the betrayals still to come. The dinner 2 weeks from now when my mother will tell me, so casually, about the investment opportunity that requires me to get a life insurance policy. Just a precaution, she'll say. In case anything happens to you, the family would be protected. You'd do that for us, wouldn't you? And I'll say yes, because I always say yes, because I've spent my entire life trying to earn love from people who've never had any to give. But not this time. This time, I know exactly how it ends. I get out of bed and go to my laptop. My fingers hover over the keyboard for a moment before I start typing, pulling up every file, every document, every shred of evidence about my family that I can find. I was always the organized one. The one who kept track of paperwork, who filed taxes for my mother's consulting business, which was actually just her funneling money from various schemes, who managed Lily's credit cards when she maxed them out. Again, I have access to everything. Over the next 3 hours, I create encrypted backups of every financial document my family has ever let me touch. Bank statements showing where my grandmother's money went, emails about Maya's situation that prove they've been planning this for years, text messages between my mother and Lily discussing how much I'm worth dead versus alive. I found those texts in the original timeline, 3 days after my death when I was already gone. Lily had screenshot them and sent them to Richard with a laughing emoji. My phone buzzes, a text from my mother. Family dinner tonight, 7 p.m. Don't be late. In the original timeline, I went to that dinner. My mother spent 2 hours criticizing everything about me, my job, my apartment, my appearance, my lack of ambition. Lily announced her pregnancy and spent the rest of the evening accepting congratulations while I sat there, invisible as always. I text back, can't make it, work thing. The reply comes within seconds. Maya, you're being selfish again. Lily has important news to share. I turn off my phone. The next 2 weeks are a blur of careful planning. I take vacation days from my job at the accounting firm and tell everyone I'm visiting old college friends. Instead, I'm visiting lawyers. The first one is for a new will. I leave everything to charity, with special instructions that my family is to receive nothing. I also leave a sealed letter detailing their insurance fraud scheme to be opened in the event of my death. The second lawyer is for something more complicated. I need to understand the legal requirements for declaring someone dead in New York State, I tell him. He's a small-time estate attorney named Morris Chen, and he looks at me like I've grown a second head. I'm sorry? Hypothetically, I say, leaning forward. If someone went missing, what would need to happen for them to be legally declared dead? Are you planning to disappear? He asks carefully. I'm planning to protect myself. Something in my voice must convince him, because he starts talking. 7 years, he tells me. After 7 years of someone being missing with no contact, they can be declared legally dead. But there are exceptions. If there's evidence of death, if the circumstances strongly suggest it, the timeline can be shortened. What if someone had been threatening that person's life? I ask. What if that person had documented evidence of a murder plot against them? Morris Chen sets down his pen. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Maya. Miss Maya, if someone is threatening your life, you need to go to the police. The police won't help, I say. Not until something actually happens. But what I need to know is, if I'm going to disappear to protect myself, how do I make sure I can still claim what's legally mine when it's safe? We talk for another hour. By the end, I have a plan forming. It's risky, complicated, and requires perfect timing. But if I can pull it off, I won't just escape my family's murder plot, I'll destroy them. I avoid my family for 3 weeks. They call, they text, they show up at my apartment. I don't answer. Finally, my mother corners me at my office. She's dressed in one of her expensive suits. Paid for, I know, with money my grandmother left for my education. Money I never saw a cent of. Maya, she says, her voice dripping with fake concern. We've been so worried about you. You've been avoiding us. I've been busy. Too busy for family? She sits in the chair across from my desk uninvited. Sweetie, I know we've had our differences, but family is forever. You know that, don't you? In the original timeline, this speech worked. I felt guilty. I apologized for being distant. I agreed to come to dinner, where she slowly, carefully planted the seed of the insurance policy idea. But I've already lived this conversation once. What do you want, Victoria? I ask, using her first name and deliberately. I've never called her Mom without her demanding it first. Her jaw tightens. I want to talk to you about your future, about protecting yourself financially. I'm fine financially. Are you? She glances around my small office with barely disguised contempt. You're 26, Maya. Still working this entry-level accounting job? Still living in that shoebox apartment? Don't you want more? More like what? More like Lily? Living off Richard's family money? More like you, spending money you didn't earn? The mask slips for just a second, and I see the flash of rage in her eyes. Then she's smiling again, cold and sharp. You've always been ungrateful, she says softly. After everything we did for you. Taking you in after your parents abandoned you? They didn't abandon me. They died in a car accident. And my grandmother paid you $250,000 to take me in. Silence. She recovers quickly, but not quickly enough. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. I found the paperwork, the bank statements, all of it. I lean back in my chair, watching her carefully. Did you really think I'd never find out? You had no right to go through private documents. They were my documents about my money, money that was supposed to be for me. I smile, and it's not a nice smile. But that's not why you're here, is it? You're here because you need me for something. So what is it? She stands abruptly. You know what, Maya? You've changed. You used to be sweet, compliant. Now you're just bitter and paranoid. I wonder why. She leaves without another word, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. I wait until she's gone, then pull out my phone and text Morris Chen. She made contact, starting phase 1. His reply comes quickly, but, are you sure about this? Yes. I'm not just sure. I'm ready. Phase 1 is simple. Let them think they've won. 3 days after my mother's visit, I text her an apology. I blame stress at work, insomnia, anxiety. I tell her she's right. I have been distant and ungrateful. Can we talk? She agrees immediately. Too immediately. We meet at a cafe in Midtown, neutral territory. She's brought Lily, who looks at me with barely concealed boredom. I'm sorry, I tell them, and I make my voice small and uncertain. The old Maya, the doormat Maya. I've been having such a hard time lately, and I took it out on you. That wasn't fair. My mother reaches across the table and takes my hand. Her touch is cold. Oh, sweetie, we understand. We're family. We love you no matter what. Lily rolls her eyes but says nothing. Actually, my mother continues, we've been talking, Lily and I, and we think we might have a solution to some of your stress. Have you thought about life insurance? And there it is. Life insurance? I ask, like I've never considered it. Just a small policy, my mother says. Something to give you peace of mind. God forbid anything happened to you, but if it did, wouldn't you want to know your family was taken care of? I guess so. Wonderful. She's smiling now, bright and predatory. I actually have a friend who's an insurance agent. I could set up a meeting for you next week. In the original timeline, I met with the agent. I signed the papers. I made my mother the beneficiary because it just made sense. She'd handle the finances better than I would. That sounds great, I say, and watch my mother's smile widen. But actually, I've been thinking about all this, and I realized something. What's that? I never asked about Grandma, Catherine's will. The temperature at the table drops 10 degrees. What about it? My mother asks carefully. Well, she died 5 years ago, and I never heard anything about her estate. She and I were close. I just thought, maybe she left me something? Your grandmother's estate was very complicated, my mother says. Legal issues, nothing you need to worry about. But I'd like to know, do you have a copy of her will? Maya? Because I could request it from the probate court. That's public record, isn't it? Lily speaks for the first time. Why are you being so weird about this? I'm not being weird. I'm just asking about my grandmother's will. I look directly at my mother. Unless there's a reason you don't want me to see it? My mother's expression could freeze hell. Fine, I'll get you a copy, but don't expect much. Most of her money went to settling debts. Great, thank you. We part ways shortly after. As I watch them leave, I see my mother lean close to Lily, whispering urgently. Lily's eyes widen. They're scared. Good. I don't wait for my mother to provide the will. I request it myself from the probate court, paying extra for expedited processing. It arrives 3 days later. I read it in my apartment, door locked, hands shaking. To my granddaughter, Maya Elena Rodriguez, I leave the entirety of my estate, including but not limited to my property at 1247 Ashwood Lane, my investment portfolio with Bradshaw Financial Services, and all personal effects. The current estimated value of this estate is approximately $4.8 million. $4.8 million. There's more. A letter sealed with my name on it in my grandmother's handwriting. The court clerk included it with a note. This was filed with the will, but marked to be delivered directly to the beneficiary. I open it with trembling fingers. My dearest Maya, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and I suspect Victoria has done everything in her power to keep this will from you. I'm sorry, my darling. I should have protected you better. Your father was my son, and he was a good man. When he and your mother died, I knew Victoria would never care for you properly. She'd only ever wanted him for his money. But I was sick, Maya. Too sick to raise a child. I thought giving her money to take care of you was the right choice. I was wrong. By the time I realized how she was treating you, I was already dying. I couldn't take you away from them without proof of abuse, and Victoria is clever. She never left marks, so I did the only thing I could. I made sure you'd be taken care of after I was gone. This money is yours, Maya, all of it. Use it to build a life far away from them. I'm sorry I couldn't save you sooner, but I can save you now. All my love, Grandma Catherine. I read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down my face. Then I call Morris Chen. We need to talk, I say. My family has been hiding a $4.8 million inheritance from me for 5 years. That's estate fraud, he says immediately. That's criminal. I know, and I have a plan. The insurance agent my mother referred me to is named Douglas Reeves. He's in his 50s, slightly sleazy, and clearly used to dealing with people who don't read fine print. I meet with him the following Tuesday. So, Maya, he says, pulling out paperwork, your mother told me you're interested in a life insurance policy. That's right. Great. I think we can set you up with a nice $2 million term policy. The premiums are very reasonable for someone your age. $2 million seems like a lot. Well, you want to make sure your family is taken care of, right? He smiles. Your mother mentioned she'd be the beneficiary? In the original timeline, I signed. I made my mother the beneficiary. And 3 months later, I drowned in her bathtub while she filmed it. Actually, I say, I've been thinking about that. What if I made the beneficiary my estate instead? He blinks. Your estate? Yes. That way the money goes according to my will to whoever I want to have it. Well, you could do that, but typically people name a specific person. I'd like to name my estate. He's clearly confused, but he makes the change. We go through the rest of the paperwork. I sign everything, initial every page, and agree to the medical exam required for such a large policy. Perfect, Douglas says. This should all be finalized within 2 weeks. Wonderful. Oh, and Douglas, don't mention the beneficiary change to my mother. I want it to be a surprise. He agrees, though he looks uncomfortable. I leave the meeting and immediately go to another insurance office across town, where I meet with an agent named Sarah Kim. I take out a second policy, this one for $1 million, and name a children's hospital in Brooklyn as the beneficiary. Then I visit a third agent and take out a third policy for $500,000, beneficiary to be the Brooklyn Public Library System. By the end of the week, I'm carrying $3.5 million in life insurance. My premiums are going to be insane, but I'm only going to pay them for 3 months. You're not making sense, Morris Chen says when I explain my plan. You want to fake your death? No, I say it on the way. I want to actually die, legally. We're in his office after hours. I've paid him a significant retainer, enough that he's taking my insanity seriously. Legally dying while remaining alive is not a thing, Maya. It could be, if we're creative. I lay out the plan. It takes 2 hours and 3 pots of coffee, but by the end, Morris is staring at me with something like awe. This is the most complicated, legally questionable, potentially brilliant thing I've ever heard, he says. And I represented a guy who tried to patent the color blue. Can we do it? If, and this is a massive if, everything goes exactly right, yes, maybe there's about 1,000 ways it could go wrong. Then we'll have to make sure it goes right. Phase 2 begins in May. I start seeing a therapist, Dr. Rebecca Williams, who specializes in trauma and family estrangement. I'm completely honest with her about my family's abuse, about the financial exploitation, about my fears. I'm afraid they're going to hurt me, I tell her in our third session. My mother has started talking about life insurance, and I have this terrible feeling that something bad is going to happen. Have they made specific threats? Dr. Williams asks. Not specific, but the way they look at me sometimes. I let my voice trail off. I sound paranoid, don't I? You don't sound paranoid. You sound like someone who's been conditioned to doubt her own perception. Tell me more about these feelings. Over the next month, I build a documented history of fear. Dr. Williams takes detailed notes. She's concerned enough that she suggests I might want to consider a restraining order. I can't, I say. They'd retaliate. I need to disappear for a while. Go somewhere they can't find me. That's understandable. Where would you go? I've been thinking about Europe. Somewhere far away. I have some money saved up. I don't mention the inheritance I'm about to claim. I just need to figure out the logistics. Dr. Williams helps me develop a safety plan. We discuss changing my name, moving to a different country, cutting all ties. She documents everything in her notes. This is important. Later, when people ask why I disappeared, Dr. Williams's notes will show that I was fleeing abuse, that I was afraid for my life, that my fear was reasonable. In June, I file a lawsuit against my mother for estate fraud. The paperwork is delivered to her house on a Tuesday morning. I'm not there to see her reaction, but Lily calls me within an hour, screaming. How dare you, she shrieks into the phone. After everything Mom has done for you, you're suing her? She stole $5 million from me, Lily. That money was for the family. Grandma would have wanted us all to share it. Then why didn't the will say that? Why did it specifically name me as the sole beneficiary? Silence. Then, you're such a selfish bitch. I'll see you in court. I hang up. The lawsuit is a tactical move. It puts everything on the record, the hidden will, the stolen money, my family's financial abuse. It also paints a target on my back, which is exactly what I need. My mother fights back hard. She hires an expensive lawyer who tries to argue that she was acting as my guardian and that the money was spent on my care. The problem is, I have receipts. I have bank statements showing exactly where the money went. Into my mother's accounts, into Lily's wedding fund, into the consulting business that never consulted anyone. The lawyer tries a different approach, claiming I was mentally incompetent when the will was executed, and therefore not a valid beneficiary. I was 14 when my grandmother died. I submit my school records showing I was in advanced classes, my SAT scores, my college acceptance letters. I'm clearly not incompetent. By mid-June, the lawyer knows he's losing. That's when things get dangerous. I start noticing a car following me. Black sedan, tinted windows, always 3 cars back. I document it carefully, taking photos, noting dates and times. My apartment is broken into, but nothing is stolen. Just moved. Drawers opened, papers shuffled. A message. We can get to you. I file a police report. The officer is sympathetic, but unhelpful. Without proof of who did it, I know who did it. Then you need to prove it. I take the police report to Morris Chen. It's escalating. Maybe you should back off, he says. Is the money worth your life? It's not about the money anymore. It never was. On June 20th, 3 days before my death in the original timeline, I have dinner with my mother. She chose the restaurant, a quiet Italian place in Brooklyn, far from anywhere we normally go. Private. I wear a wire. It's tiny, hidden under my shirt, connected to a recording app on my phone in my purse. Morris insisted on it. "We need evidence," he said. "Real, undeniable evidence." My mother is already seated when I arrive. She's ordered wine, expensive wine, the kind she only drinks when she wants something. "Maya," she says as I sit down, "I'm glad you agreed to meet. You said it was important." "It is." She takes a sip of wine. "This lawsuit, it needs to end." "Then give me my money." "It's not that simple. The money has been invested, tied up. It would take time to liquidate everything." "How much time?" "Years, possibly." I laugh. I can't help it. "Years? My grandmother died 5 years ago. How long have you been investing my money?" "Don't take that tone with me." "What tone should I take?" "You stole $5 million from me. You've been spending my inheritance like it was yours, and now you're upset that I want it back?" Her eyes are cold. "You have no idea how much you cost us, Maya. Feeding you, clothing you, paying for your education. You were paid $250,000 to do that, and you spent my college fund on Lily's wedding. Lily's wedding was important. More important than my education? More important than my future?" We're both speaking in harsh whispers now, leaning across the table. "You've always been ungrateful," my mother hisses. "Always playing the victim. Do you know what people think when they hear you complaining? They think you're pathetic." "I don't care what people think." "You should, because right now you're making yourself look very unstable. Paranoid, filing lawsuits, making wild accusations, telling your therapist insane stories about fearing for your life." I freeze. "How do you know about my therapist?" She realizes her mistake too late. "I Someone mentioned it." "Who? Those sessions are confidential." "Maybe your therapist is concerned about you. Maybe she reached out to me as your mother. That would be illegal." My heart is pounding. "Unless you've been accessing my medical records somehow, or following me." "Don't be ridiculous. A black sedan has been following me for 2 weeks. My apartment was broken into. And now you somehow know about my private therapy sessions." I stand up. "This conversation is over." "Sit down, Maya." "No." "Sit down." Her voice is sharp, commanding. The voice she used throughout my childhood when I was about to be punished. I stay standing. "You're making a mistake," my mother says quietly. "This lawsuit is going to destroy our family." "Is that what you want? To tear everything apart over money?" "You already tore it apart. I'm just asking for what's mine." "What's yours?" She laughs bitterly. "You really think Catherine wanted you to have all that money? You were 14. She probably meant to update the will later, include all of us. Then why didn't she? Because she died before she could. Or because she knew exactly what kind of person you are." My mother's face goes white with rage. For a moment, I think she might actually hit me right here in the restaurant. Instead, she stands, throws cash on the table, and leans close. "You want your money? Fine. But don't expect anything else from this family. As of right now, you're nothing to me. You never were." She leaves. I sit back down, shaking, and pull out my phone. The recording app is still running. I have everything. I send the file to Morris Chen with a message. "Got it." Then I send a copy to Dr. Williams. "You were right to be concerned." And finally, I send a copy to a secure email account I set up specifically for this purpose, one my family doesn't know exists. Because in 3 days, I'm going to die. June 23rd arrives like clockwork. I've spent the last 3 days preparing. I've moved everything valuable out of my apartment into a storage unit under a fake name. I've written letters to Dr. Williams, to Morris Chen, to the police, to the probate judge handling my lawsuit. I've also written a letter to myself, dated today, to be opened 1 year from now. At 2 p.m., I get the text from my mother. Come to the house. We need to talk. Last chance to settle this civilly. In the original timeline I went, I thought maybe finally we could work it out. I thought maybe she actually wanted to make peace. I was so stupid. This time, I know better. I text back. I'll be there at 6. Then I call Detective Sarah Martinez, the officer who took my report about the break-in. I'm going to my mother's house tonight. I'm afraid something might happen to me. Ms. Rodriguez, if you're genuinely afraid, I need to go to try to resolve things, but if something happens to me, I want you to know that I was afraid, that I saw this coming. There's a long pause. Arias, you saying your mother might hurt you? I'm saying I don't trust her, and I want someone to know where I am. I could send a patrol car. No, that would make things worse. Just, please. If something happens to me, investigate her. Look at the life insurance policy. Look at everything. I hang up before she can respond. At 4 p.m., I take a bus to New Jersey. I check into a motel under a fake name, paying cash. I sit on the lumpy bed and watch the clock tick towards 6 p.m. At 6:15, my mother texts, "Where are you?" I don't respond. At 6:30, "Maya, this is your last chance." At 7 o'clock, "Fine, you've made your choice." I wait until 9 p.m., then I take a sleeping pill and go to bed. I wake up at 4 a.m. to my phone ringing. It's a number I don't recognize. I answer anyway. Maya Rodriguez? A man's voice, professional. Yes? This is Detective James Morrison with the NYPD. I'm calling about a report we received. Your mother, Victoria Rodriguez, called 911 last night claiming you were missing and possibly suicidal. My blood runs cold. What? She said you left a note saying you couldn't take the pressure anymore, that you were going to hurt yourself. She's very concerned. I didn't leave any note. I'm not suicidal. I'm in New Jersey. Can you verify that? I send him a photo of myself in the motel room holding up today's newspaper. He's quiet for a moment. Ms. Rodriguez, your mother seemed genuinely distressed. She said you'd been acting erratically, that you'd been making wild accusations. She's lying. She's trying to make me look unstable because I'm suing her for stealing my inheritance. Another pause. I see. Did Detective Martinez tell you I called her yesterday? That I was afraid of going to my mother's house? I'll look into that. In the meantime, where will you be? I'm not telling anyone in my family where I am, for my own safety. Ms. Rodriguez, if my mother files a missing persons report, I'm not missing. I'm hiding from her. There's a difference. I hang up. My hands are shaking. She's starting early this time. In the original timeline, she waited until after I was actually dead to start building the narrative of my instability. Now she's laying the groundwork before the murder. Except there won't be a murder this time because I'm already gone. Over the next 2 weeks, I become a ghost. I move from motel to motel across New Jersey and Pennsylvania, never staying anywhere more than 2 nights. I pay for everything in cash. I don't use my phone except for crucial calls to Morris Chen and Dr. Williams. My mother escalates. She files a missing persons report. She goes on local news, crying, begging me to come home. My daughter is troubled, she says, dabbing at her eyes. She's been making strange accusations, pushing away everyone who loves her. I'm so afraid she'll do something she can't take back. The comments on the news segment are predictable. Half the people feel sorry for her. The other half are suspicious. Something's off about this mom, one commenter writes. Her daughter is a grown woman. Why is she acting like this is a kidnapping? Maybe the daughter has good reasons for disappearing, writes another. But plenty of others buy the performance. Poor mother. Hope they find her daughter before she does something tragic. My mother is building reasonable doubt. When I die, when they think I've died, everyone will remember this. The unstable daughter, the concerned mother, the tragic ending that could have been prevented. But I'm not playing that role this time. On July 10th, I meet with Morris Chen in a parking lot in Philadelphia. The judge is getting impatient, he says. You're missing court dates. I can't show up. She'll find me. Maya, you're going to lose the lawsuit if you don't appear. I'm not going to lose. I'm going to win. Just not the way she expects. I hand him an envelope. Inside is a letter, sealed, along with detailed instructions. What is this? He asks. Insurance, if anything happens to me, anything at all, you open this and follow the instructions exactly. You're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. Because what I'm about to do is insane. On July 15th, I rent a car, a cheap sedan from a small rental place that doesn't ask too many questions. I drive to upstate New York to a town called Millbrook, 3 hours north of the city. There's a lake here, Ashwood Lake, deep and cold, surrounded by forest. In winter, the ice gets thick enough to drive on. In summer, it's a popular spot for fishing and for drowning. I spend 2 days watching the lake, learning the patterns. There's a boat rental place on the south shore, a hiking trail on the north side. The nearest house is half a mile away. On July 17th, I rent a small motorboat. The teenage attendant barely looks at me as I sign the paperwork. Back by sunset, he mumbles, playing on his phone. I take the boat out to the center of the lake. It's a Tuesday afternoon, overcast and humid. There's no one else on the water. I cut the engine. For a long moment, I just sit there, listening to the gentle slap of waves against the hull. This is it, the point of no return. I've spent the last month setting up the dominoes. Now I just need to push. I take off my shoes and place them carefully on the boat's seat. I leave my purse containing my wallet, my phone, my ID. I leave a note handwritten on motel stationery. I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. I'm so tired. Then I slip into the water. It's cold, much colder than I expected. I swim away from the boat, stroke by stroke, until I reach the north shore where the forest comes right down to the water's edge. I climb out, gasping, and look back at the boat. Empty. Drifting. My shoes sitting on the seat like a ghost's shoes. Perfect. I walk into the forest, water streaming from my clothes, and I don't look back. The boat is found at sunset when I don't return. The teenage attendant calls the police. They find my shoes, my purse, my note. They drag the lake for 3 days. They don't find a body. My mother appears on the news again, this time genuinely crying. My baby, she sobs. My poor baby. I knew she was suffering. I tried to help her. I tried so hard. Detective Martinez calls a press conference. We're treating this as a likely drowning. Ashwood Lake is very deep in the center, over 200 feet. Bodies sometimes don't surface for weeks or even months. The search continues for 2 weeks, then winds down. They'll keep looking, the police say, but without a body. On August 1st, my mother files a death certificate application. She needs it for the life insurance. The court requires a waiting period for someone to be declared legally dead when there's no body. In New York, it's usually 3 years, but with evidence of death, the abandoned boat, the note, the witnesses who say I was depressed and unstable, the timeline can be shortened to as little as 3 months. My mother pushes hard. She provides evidence. My therapy records obtained illegally, but she's betting no one will check. My history of mental instability, the missing persons report, the abandoned boat. On September 15th, 3 months after my disappearance, a judge declares me legally dead. The life insurance companies receive the death certificate. My mother files claims on the $2 million policy she knows about. She has no idea about the other 2 policies. I watch all of this from a tiny apartment in Boston. I've been working at a bookstore under the name Emily Hart. It's a quiet life. Peaceful. Every morning, I check the news for updates about Maya Rodriguez. When the death certificate is issued, I allow myself a small smile. Phase 3 begins now. I call Morris Chen from a burner phone. She took the bait, I say. Jesus, Maya, I saw the news. They think you're dead. That's the plan. This is insane. You know that, right? This is completely insane. Can you do what we discussed? Silence. Then, yes, but Maya, there's no going back from this. Once we file these papers, I know. Okay, give me 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, Morris Chen files paperwork with the probate court on behalf of Emily Hart, executor of the estate of Maya Rodriguez, deceased. The paperwork includes the death certificate, a copy of my will naming my estate as beneficiary of all assets, a claim on behalf of the estate for the inheritance from Catherine Rodriguez, documentation of the insurance policies, all three of them, the lawsuit documents showing estate fraud. And one more thing, a notarized statement from me dated before my death authorizing Emily Hart to act as executor and claim all assets on behalf of my estate. Emily Hart is a real person. She exists. She has a social security number, a driver's license, a bank account. She's also me. I created her kid 6 weeks ago with the help of a forger Morris knows. It's not completely legal, but it's not completely illegal either. I'm not stealing anyone's identity. I'm just giving myself a new one. The estate claim hits like a bomb, because here's what my mother doesn't know. When you're declared legally dead, your estate must be settled. All assets must be distributed according to your will. That includes the inheritance she stole. The probate court orders Victoria Rodriguez to return all funds from Catherine Rodriguez's estate to Maya Rodriguez's estate, all $4.8 million of it. But wait, there's more. The insurance companies start processing claims. The $2 million policy my mother knows about pays out, but not to her. The beneficiary is my estate, not Victoria Rodriguez. The check goes to Emily Hart as executor. The $1 million policy pays out to the Children's Hospital. The $500,000 policy pays out to the library. And then, because I documented everything, because I have recordings and emails and Dr. Williams's notes, the fraud investigation begins. The insurance company that issued the policy my mother applied for gets suspicious. They request an investigation. They want to know why Maya Rodriguez took out multiple policies right before her death. They want to know about the lawsuit. They want to know about the therapy notes indicating she feared her family. The investigation expands. Other agencies get involved. The FBI looks into the estate fraud, and that's when they find something interesting. I watch the news from Boston as my mother is arrested. The charges are extensive: estate fraud, insurance fraud, identity theft, illegal access to medical records. But the worst charge, the one that makes headlines, is attempted murder, because the police searched my mother's house and found drafts of my suicide note. Multiple versions in her handwriting, testing different phrasings. They found internet searches on her computer. How long does a body take to surface in a lake? Insurance payout timeline after death? How to make a drowning look like suicide? They found text messages between her and Lily discussing the Maya problem and how to solve it permanently. And they found in a locked drawer in her bedroom a key to a storage unit. Inside the storage unit, a set of clothes matching mine, a wig, makeup, a disguise kit. She'd been planning to impersonate me, to stage my disappearance herself if I didn't cooperate. The evidence is overwhelming. My mother's lawyer tries to argue that she was just worried about me, that she was preparing for the worst. But then Morris Chen submits the recording from our dinner, the one where my mother threatens me, the one where she reveals she knows about my therapy sessions. Lily is arrested as an accomplice. Richard surprisingly flips. He testifies against both of them in exchange for immunity. Turns out he has no loyalty when his own. Skin is at risk. The trial is scheduled for January. In December, 6 months after my death, I receive a check made out to the estate of Maya Rodriguez, CEO Emily Hart, executor. The amount, $6.8 million, $4.8 million from my grandmother's estate, $2 million from the insurance policy, plus interest and penalties assessed against my mother. I deposit it into Emily Hart's bank account. Then I write several more checks, $1 million to Dr. Williams's nonprofit, which helps abuse survivors escape dangerous families, $500,000 to Detective Martinez's police department, earmarked for victim advocacy services, $100,000 to Morris Chen as a thank you for being willing to go along with my insane plan. The rest I keep, $5.2 million. It's more than I ever dreamed of having. But that's not why I did this. The trial happens in January, and I follow every moment of it from my apartment in Boston. My mother takes the stand. She cries. She claims she was trying to protect me from myself, that she loved me, always loved me, and she was just trying to keep me safe. The prosecution plays the recording of her saying, "You were nothing to me. You never were." They show the jury the evidence of her spending my inheritance: luxury vacations, designer clothes, a new car for Lily. They show the drafts of the suicide note in her handwriting. They show text messages where she and Lily joke about me being worth more dead than alive. The jury deliberates for 4 hours, guilty on all counts. My mother is sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. Lily gets 7 years as an accomplice. I don't attend the trial. I can't risk being seen. But on the day of sentencing, I send a letter to the court. It's read aloud by the prosecutor. To the court, my name was Maya Rodriguez. I say was because that person is gone now. She died on July 17th, not in a lake, but in the realization that the people who should have loved her never did. I'm not here to testify. I'm not here to face my family. I don't need that closure. I already found peace. But I want everyone to know I survived. I survived their abuse, their exploitation, their attempt to murder me for money. And I did more than survive. I won. To anyone else out there in a situation like mine, trapped by family who see you as an asset instead of a person, you can escape. It might not be easy and it might not be legal, but you can survive. Maya Rodriguez is dead. But I'm very much alive. Sincerely, Emily Hart. The letter causes a sensation. The media goes wild speculating about whether I'm really alive, whether this is all an elaborate hoax, whether the woman calling herself Emily Hart is actually me. Morris Chen refuses to comment. My client wishes to remain private, he says. Dr. Williams, when asked, just smiles. I hope Maya found peace wherever she is. Detective Martinez tells reporters, I'm glad this case is closed. Justice was served. 1 year after my death, I moved to Portland, Oregon. I buy a small house with a garden. I adopt a dog, a golden retriever I named Catherine, after my grandmother. I work part-time at a nonprofit that helps abuse survivors with estate planning and legal advocacy. I use my accounting skills to help people protect their assets from family members who might exploit them. I live quietly, happily. I never contact my family again. As far as they know, Emily Hart is just a random executor who happened to handle my estate. But sometimes, late at night, I imagine my mother in prison, replaying that dinner conversation. Remembering how I asked about my grandmother's will, how I mentioned the insurance policies. I imagine her realizing, slowly, that I played her, that I knew, that I remembered, that I came back and destroyed her with her own greed, that I died, and yet I won. 2 years after my death, I receive a letter forwarded through Morris Chen. It's from Lily. Maya, I know you're alive. I know Emily Hart is you. I'm not stupid. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I know that doesn't mean much after everything, but I am. Mom always said you were the weak one, the one who needed us. But you were the strong one all along. You won. We lost everything. Mom's in prison. I'm on parole. Richard left me. I'm working at a grocery store just to pay rent. And you have everything. Grandma's money, the insurance money, a new life. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know that I get it now. I understand what we did to you. I understand why you had to disappear. I hope you're happy wherever you are. Lily, I read the letter 3 times, then I burn it. 5 years after my death, the statute of limitations runs out on any potential fraud charges related to my suicide. I'm safe. Legally, permanently safe. I celebrate by flying to Paris, something I always wanted to do but never could afford as Maya. I stand at the top of the Eiffel Tower looking out over the city, and I think about my grandmother. I made it, Grandma, I whisper. I'm free. A gust of wind catches my hair, and for just a moment, I swear I feel her hand on my shoulder. I'm proud of you, I imagine her saying. I'm so proud of you. 10 years after my death, I'm drinking coffee in a cafe in Portland when I see a news article on my phone. Victoria Rodriguez, formerly convicted of fraud and attempted murder, has died in prison at age 62. Cause of death: heart attack. I set down my coffee. I wait for the rush of emotion: grief, anger, satisfaction, something. But there's nothing. She's gone. She's been gone for years, really. The woman who raised me, who I desperately wanted to love me, who tried to kill me, she's irrelevant now. I'm Emily Hart. I'm free. I'm happy. I'm alive. And that being alive, being free, being happy is the best revenge of all. 15 years after my death, I'm sitting in my garden with my dog. Catherine died years ago, but I have a new dog now to rescue named Sunshine. When a young woman knocks on my door, she's maybe 25, thin and nervous, with bruises she's trying to hide under long sleeves. "Are you Emily Hart?" she asks. "The one who helps people with family abuse cases?" "I am. I need help. My mother, she's been stealing from me. She took out credit cards in my name. She's trying to control everything, and I think—" She swallows hard. "I think she might try to hurt me." I look at this young woman and I see myself at 26. Trapped, scared, desperate. "Come in," I say. Let's talk." We sit at my kitchen table. She tells me her story. Different details, but the same shape as mine. Family exploitation, financial abuse, the creeping fear that it might escalate to violence. "What do I do?" she asks, tears streaming down her face. "How do I get away from her?" I take her hand. "First," I say, "you're going to need a good lawyer. I know one. His name is Morris Chen." "Okay." "Second, we're going to document everything. Every text, every transaction, every threat. We're going to build a case." "And then what?" I smile. "And then you're going to disappear. Not die, disappear. You're going to build a new life where she can't touch you, and you're going to take back everything she stole." "Is that even possible?" "Yes," I say. I know it is. Because I did it." She stares at me. You're Maya Rodriguez, aren't you? The woman who died but didn't die?" I don't confirm or deny. "That person doesn't exist anymore. I'm Emily Hart." "But you survived." "I did more than survive. I won. And you can too." 20 years after my death, I'm 63 years old. I've helped over 100 people escape abusive families. Some of them had to fake their deaths like I did. Others just needed legal help, protection, a safe place to stay. All of them got free. I never remarried, never had children, but I have a family now, a chosen family of survivors, of people who understand what it means to fight for your own life. Morris Chen retired 5 years ago, but we still have coffee every month. He likes to joke that I'm his most successful case. Dr. Williams passed away last year. I spoke at her funeral, and I told everyone there about how she saved my life by believing me when no one else did. Detective Martinez became police chief. She's implemented new protocols for domestic abuse cases, requiring officers to take family violence seriously even when there are no visible injuries. I never saw Lily again. Last I heard, she was working as a teacher in Ohio. She's remarried, has kids of her own. I hope she treats them better than she treated me. My mother died in prison 15 years ago, and I didn't shed a single tear. Sometimes, late at night, I think about the choice I made. Faking my death, creating a new identity, spending months in hiding, years in fear of being discovered. Was it worth it? I think about the alternative, going back to that house, getting in that bathtub, drowning while my mother filmed it. I think about the life I have now, the peace, the freedom, the ability to help others escape what I escaped. Yes, it was worth it. Every terrifying moment, every night spent in a cheap motel wondering if I'd made a mistake, every close call where someone almost recognized me. Worth it, because I'm not Maya Rodriguez anymore. That girl died in July 20 years ago. I'm Emily Hart, and I'm free. On the 20th anniversary of my death, I do something I've never done before. I drive to upstate New York, to Millbrook, to Ashwood Lake. I park near the boat rental place. It's under new management now, the teenage attendant long gone, and I walk down to the shore. The lake is beautiful in the late summer sun, peaceful, no trace of the ghost everyone thinks drowned here 20 years ago. I take off my shoes and wade into the water. It's cold. It's always cold. I walk out until I'm waist deep, then I stop and close my eyes. Thank you, I whisper to the water, to the lake, to whatever force gave me a second chance. Thank you for letting me live. The wind picks up, sending ripples across the surface. And somewhere in those ripples, I swear I see my grandmother's face smiling. I wade back to shore, dry off, put my shoes back on. Then I get in my car and drive away. Because Maya Rodriguez died here 20 years ago. But I survived, and I'll keep surviving every day for the rest of my life. That's my victory. That's my revenge. I lived,